What is up, everyone? Today we're bringing back an old favorite, Noctowl, to counter all those annoying Lickitung. This whole team I made, Sableye, Swampert, Noctowl, is actually built to destroy a very common team I was seeing, which is Medicham or Deoxys lead with a Lickitung save switch, which I saw a ton of. Like if you saw on my Shadow Venusaur video, that day, those were at least like 50% of the teams. And this team just destroys that squad as I hard counter their lead. They will usually bring in Lickitung then, and then Noctowl can really feast. And let me tell you, this did not work at all. Everyone just decided to stop running that line for some reason, it seemed. The first 3 sets I played with this squad, I ran into zero of that line. It was so freaking annoying. Regardless though, I still went positive with this team, so it's a line I can recommend. Before we move on, I just want to make it clear, I don't subscribe to any theory about like a matchmaking algorithm that pairs you against teams which are unfavorable for you. What I think it's more likely to happen is that everyone was kind of switching up their teams, trying to beat the common lineups, and it just happens that their meta read was a little better than mine. Anyway, let's get into the battle, starting off with the squad. My team was supposed to destroy the Deoxys lead. Lickitung comes in. This, by the way, like the 17th battle of the day, and I finally faced this squad, and man, does it feel good. Noctowl can really destroy this matchup here. All you need to do is throw 2 sky attacks and farm all the way down. You'll come out with little health, but like 60 energy. So enough to throw a sky attack or a shadow ball at whatever comes in next to farm down your owl. So this is really, really good. But I end up making a mistake here. You should really just throw your second sky attack immediately. There's no reason to wait. But I wait. And I let them throw their third body slam before I throw my second sky attack. And what this will allow them to do is to shield both of my sky attacks and just lick me all the way down. There'll be 2 shields down, but they have gotten switch advantage. They will not have their Deoxys on my Sableye anymore, and that is not great. Look at this, they're just double shooting. So what you should really do there is just throw your second sky attack immediately, and you can farm all the way down. And if they do shoot your second sky attack, then you shoot a body slam, right? Then you just match shield, and you still own that matchup. Anyway, because I didn't want to get farmed down by the Licky, I switched in Swampert, since I was going to lose switch advantage anyway. There was really no reason to let myself get licked down. And I tried to throw Hydro into the Licky, but I wisely catch onto DD. Which isn't great. I'm going to shoot the first Psycho Boost, and I'm going to throw the Hydro, hoping this will put it in a range where I can farm it down with Mudshots. It's going to be very close though. This is knockout like expected. They need 5 more counters to get to the next Psycho Boost. So if I can knock out in 5 Mudshots here, that'd be ideal. 4, 5. Oh, I can barely knock it out before the next Psycho Boost. What comes in now? I think whatever comes in, I'm just going to throw the Hydro Cannon, to be honest, because it's the Lickitung. And if I hadn't thrown my Hydro immediately, they might have gotten off the Body Slam before me. So luckily it didn't happen. And it's an Alolan Ninetales in the back. This is kind of a common line, and my line is pretty good here. Even though I lost Switch, I will be able to take the win here. GG. Yes, after this foul play. Generally, this team is also usually normal Alolan Ninetales, which is actually very good for Sableye as well. Should have some play there. Next up, we face a Lickitung lead, which is exactly where I don't want to see it. But Sableye at least has a playable matchup here, so it's fine to stay in. I'm just going to go for the foul play here. Triple foul play basically knocks out. That's what I go for. You could also go for return, but I feel like it's a bit risky when they have 2 shields, because sometimes they do shield here. You do want to build up to return at least. You should also shield the power up there, which is nice. I kind of didn't remember this matchup so well, and I thought I would get to 3 foul plays before a second power rip, but turns out you don't. They actually reach a power rip right here, turn before my next foul play, which is kind of bad. Kind of want to save my Sableye a little bit at least with foul plays, so I'm actually going to switch out into Swampert here. In comes my Medicham, it's actually not too bad. Medicham is where I like regular Swampert, as you can take like Overshadow Swampert, because you can take these counters and charge moves a little better. Like, it would still barely survive a Psychic after this. And if they throw Ice Punch, I would be able to get to another Hydro Cannon. So I thought there's no way they Ice Punch here, because that would just kind of give me a free Hydro Cannon. So I have to go Psychic, but they go Ice Punch. And that is really bad, because now they will get to another one before my next move. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Now I will still get to the Hydro. But yeah, you're going to see what's in the back. It's not really going to matter. It's going to be a freaking Carbink. Oh, I hate this Pokemon so much. And Noctowl does not like it. So we concede the match. GG. Okay, Registeel lead. This is pretty fine for Sableye, and I definitely prefer seeing it here rather than against Noctowl. We're gonna go for the foul play here. This will do a good dent into the Registeel if they let it go, which they do let go. Very nice. Really hope I don't get the debuff here now. If I don't get the debuff, that puts me in a really good spot. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little awkward. I do get the buff, but it's fine. I go for a foul play here. And sometimes you can farm these Registeels all the way down. It really depends on their stats, to be honest. I barely get the farm down there. It's just huge. Out comes... I think it's Gligar that comes out. Yeah, and actually at this point, I felt like I knew what line this was. I have played a person with Registeel, Gligar, Gliscor, like several times already in this Great League cycle. So I figured this is it. This is the Gliscor in the back, which means that I can just switch out to the Swampert. They're basically forced to stay in, and my Noctowl will be fine in the back. So that's what I do. And I let Swampert go down here. I feel like Noctowl plus Sableye should be able to manage the Gliscor, but it's it's Lantern. Yeah. All right. I kind of outplayed myself there, I guess, with over-predicting. Yeah, this is not too great, but as you can see, a Shadow Ball is still a decent chunk of damage. If they go for the Thunderbolt here, which I kind of do, because if they go for the Surf, I just get to a Shadow Ball, even if a no-shield. So I have to go for a Thunderbolt. They do. Go for the Shadow Ball now. This will take a shield. I've almost 2 foul plays on my Sableye. As long as I can get both off before like the Gligar comes in, I should be looking pretty good. We're going to fire off a Thunderbolt right here. Oh, there's a Surf, which is good. Doesn't knock me out. I think I would have lived Thunderbolt as well, to be fair. So, I think they just want to go for double Surf there. Makes sense. I go for another one. This won't knock out the Lantern, but will put it quite low. Maybe low enough to wing attack down later. They're going to get to a move. Oh, actually, they don't get to a move. They farm me down there at 1 HP. They get to a move. Now, I think the Lantern might be able to get to a Surf, which will knock me out now after the Aerial Ace. So, I really hope I can farm it down before they get to the Surf. And I barely do. Noctowl just clutches out that game. Oh, I know Alolan Ninetales lead is just so bad for this team. Like, so bad. Though, with Charm, like, Noctowl actually has a winning matchup there. Like, it's fine. With Powder Snow, you're just staying with Sableye. But since we're Charm, of course, I had to switch out into Swampert. Swampert, by the way, you're seeing me use it as a pivot here. Definitely not, like, the best pivot in the game. You know, if there's a Grass type, you just kind of get destroyed. But the thing is, if a Grass type were to switch into my Swampert, I can fully farm it down with Noctowl and just get a bunch of energy there, right? I mean, it's definitely not ideal, but it is what it is, right? You also see me undercharge at Hydro Cannon there because I knew it wasn't going to knock out the Medicham. And since it wasn't going to knock out anyway, I might as well just undercharge it and use that extra health I keep on Medicham there to get energy on my Sableye. I also wasn't expecting them to get to... Also, I could have undercharged it more, but then I thought they would get to 2 Ice Punches if they had Ice Punch. Turns out they probably didn't have Ice Punch, but if they did have Ice Punch, if I just didn't charge it at all, I think they would have gotten to 2 Ice Punches. So I made sure to charge it enough to where they would only get to 1 Ice Punch if they had it. And that allows me to now get to the return versus the A9. Sets up my Noctowl with a shield advantage, which is nice. I should be able to Sky Attack after this move. And if it's like a Grass type in the back or maybe a Fighter, my Noctowl is looking good. But it's another freaking Carbink? Are you kidding me? Yeah. The Open Great League meta right now is crazy, honestly. It's the Wild West. That lineup they just ran kind of makes no sense because it's Alolan Ninetales lead with Carbink in the back, which is a team that just gets absolutely destroyed by like a Registeel lead. They have barely any play. But on the other hand, the line does make sense. They're running Medicham Carbink in the back, which is an extremely strong core, and they're just pairing it with a lead that wins a lot of leads, like Alolan Ninetales. You just 2 shield through everything, you win the lead, and then, you know, Medicham Carbink can rock, paper, scissors, the backline, basically. I've also seen a team with Shadow Victreebel, and it's a team that doesn't really make sense, because if there's just core breakers to your front and back Pokemon, but it also kind of does make sense, as if you do win the lead, you're basically guaranteed to win the game. It's honestly kind of... My team is kind of similar in that way, except with less fast move pressure, where I'm running Sableye to win leads, and then Swampert, Noctowl in the back as like a very strong core, you know? I think on paper, my team also doesn't make a lot of sense, because I don't really have a great like pivot or save switch in this team, but the team was built to like win leads, and it kind of didn't. It kind of didn't, but I mean, it still worked. Luckily, my Swampert didn't see too many grasses. Anyway, Gligar, I can just farm this down with Noctowl now. I'm just going to shoot this first aerial ace up, as I do have shields to spend. And now we're going to farm it down with Noctowl. Alright, oh, double shooting here. Yeah, they have a superior in the back. I'm not too worried about it at this point. I have enough sky attacks to knock out this superior. Should be game. Unless this superior can get to like a frenzy and then hit an aerial ace with the Gligar. Should be looking good. Even that, I'm not sure if that is enough to knock out, to be honest. Superior is so tanky, it just eats that sky attack. It's pretty crazy. I haven't done a video on Superior, but I do think it's a very, very strong Pokemon that you should definitely consider running. Yeah, they weren't going to get to a move with Gligar, so they concede. Dragonite, I saw 3 of these, and they're a really bad lead for Sableye. Because they can do this. Well, this, you know, they can do this. A foul play, and then they just farm me all the way down, and I just barely don't get there. Had they thrown a Dragon Claw there, by the way, I would have reached my foul play. They would have had to throw 2 Dragon Claws there, but because they didn't, because my opponent's very smart, they were able to farm all the way down and just get a ton of energy on their Dragonite to double Dragon Claw my Noctowl. Now bring out Azumarill. I was kind of hoping Swampert would be able to sweep the back. Sometimes it's like Lantern and Registeel in the back, which would be very good for Swampert. But this opponent seems to be running Azumarill. Also get a little bit of lag there to get an extra bubble, which is obviously far from ideal. But still, could be possible. If it's like a Registeel in the back, I might be fine. Also Hydro here, which put me in a decent spot. It's a big move to shield, of course. Yeah, kind of... The visuals were way off this game. And I end up throwing my Earthquake on alignment, because I couldn't really see what was happening. They also throw their move on alignment though, which kind of gives me some turns back, which is good. You know, Ice Beam here at this point. I'm just going to farm up to 100. Throw my Earthquake. Dragonite's probably going to come in. I won't be able to much hold it down, so I'm just going to throw the Hydro into it. And then I just hope it's Registeel in the back. Or a Lantern. Either one should be a win for me, but I am expecting Lickitung. That's like the most common. And it is Lickitung, and that is just really, really bad. Now... Alright, what you saw in that previous game with Dragonite is that I didn't reach the second foul play. And that is because the final Dragonite knocked me out right as I was getting to my second charge move. But this is an inconsistent mechanic. Inconsistent in the way that happens, like, probably 95% of the time. Happens in both the other Dragonite matches I faced, but in this match, I'm actually going to get lucky. I'm going to get like the 5% chance that I do get off the charge move. And this puts me in a good spot. This is, by the way, an inconsistency in the game that I really, really, really dislike. Because in my opinion, I should not get that move. I really should not get that move, because the majority of the time, you don't get that move. The majority of the time, if your opponent throws a knockout fast move at the same turn as you throw your charge move, you should get knocked out. But this time I didn't. That's just an inconsistency in the game that would happen like 10 to 5% of the time and put me in a really good spot there. As now I have a Swampert with 2 shields up. And yeah, there's just very little that can beat a Swampert with 2 shields up unless they're running like a grass type. They have a Lantern here apparently. I can just Earthquake this, take it out, bye-bye, and then it's Greedent in the back, which 2 Hydro Cannons should make short work of. So they concede the match. GG. You know, we take those. All right, the second Deoxys lead I faced all day. Right here. This time, I'm going to try to play it correctly. They switch out into Lickitung, bring in Noctowl. We're just going to go for the second Sky attack immediately. And at this point, I'm looking pretty good. I am hoping it's going to be something like A9 or what's the name? A-slash in the back. Those would both be fine backlines for me. It's something else, which is actually going to be something else. It's going to be kind of awkward. It might be looking tough still, but, you know, I can at least set me up here, because I can fully farm down this Lickitung and then get to a Shadow Ball versus the DD. Hoping my opponent will shield that, but they probably won't. Then I have Sableye. Deoxys will be useless, so... yeah, they're just gonna let this go, and then let's just hope Swampert has a decent matchup versus whatever's in the back, but it's an Arctobax, and this is a core breaker. This is a big core breaker to my team. Yeah, Swampert doesn't do too well here, as you can see, those Dragon Breaths are really, really chunking. They get to the Dragon Claws pretty quickly, so I'm gonna have to Hydro Cannon bait here, and if they call one of these, I'm in a bad spot, and they are gonna call one of these. Good play by my opponent there, honestly, pretty obvious bait. So maybe I should not have gone for it. On the other hand, though, it still did enough damage where I'm hoping I can just Shadow Claw farm this down with my Sableye. They're going to throw the Dragon Claw here right before I can get to my next Hydro. And now it's all up to Sableye. I'm going to end up making a little mistake here. I throw the move. I felt like throwing the move now to get a shield was a good play, but no, it's actually a mistake. Because now I give him one more turn of Dragon Breath by throwing that move. Which might allow them, or might be the reason why they get to another Dragon Claw, or why they might get to another Dragon Claw. Here comes the Deoxys. I have to throw immediately, otherwise I get to the Thunderbolt. And now it's a race. Can I farm it down before they get to the Dragon Claw? Let's see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I farm them down. Actually, one turn before they get to their Dragon Claw. So luckily, throwing that move didn't end up mattering. But let's say they'd thrown one more Dragon Breath versus my Swampert earlier, they would have reached it. And it would have been my fault as I, threw that move first the Octoback. So, in that case. If you don't have to throw your moves, don't throw your moves, I guess. Alright, Shadow Vic lead. This is so bad. Sableye can't get the 2 moves, unfortunately. You can't switch out, so you have to stay in. And now it's probably going to be Basti and Medi in the back, which is not great for Swampert still. What makes this even worse is that they have Power Punch. And I'm kind of forced to shield. Because the Basti, so right now actually the Basti has thrown 2 Smackdowns, which means they're 5 away, which means I have to get to my Earthquake in 7 Mudshots once the Bastion comes out. And then I will reach it before the Smackdown. So I just shoot up the moves from a Medicham, as if I don't, I get knocked out. And also, I'm not too worried about that Bastion reaching a move. However, I'm going to end up making a mistake here. Earthquake is normally 8 Mudshots. It's normally 8 Mudshots. But with a little residual energy, it's only 7, right? And I wasn't too sure if after throwing 3 Hydro Cannons, I would have enough residual energy to get to the Earthquake in 7. So I end up throwing 1 extra counter here. And that wasn't necessary. I will now get to the Earthquake in 6 instead of 7. If I just threw 1 less Mudshot, I would not have taken that counter. And I would have definitely been able to survive the Smackdowns to get to the Earthquake here. But because I didn't, I end up not getting there. I have to settle for a Hydro. And it's just not going to be enough. Yeah, in this game, I also wasn't sure, to be honest, if the Basti had thrown 2 or 3 Smackdowns, which is another reason why I went for that extra Mudshot. But, looking back, they really only done 2 Smackdowns for sure. So, just throw my Hydro immediately versus that Medicham would have 100% been the play. By the way, how I calculate that residual energy is Earthquake is 65 energy, Mudshot gains a 9 per move, and 7 times 9 is 63. So you only miss 2 residual energy. You only miss 2 energy after throwing 6 Mudshots to get to the Earthquake. And after firing 3 Hydro Cannons, you're left with more than that. Like, after 2 Hydro Cannons, you have 1 residual energy. And to get to a third, you actually go over by 5. Because it's 40 for Hydro Cannon, 45 for 5 Mudshots. So you go over by 5. And 5 plus 1 is 6. So I had more than enough to get to the Earthquake in 7 there. But I wasn't doing that maths during the game. But now I know for next time. Anyway, Lantern lead. Just staying with Sableye. This is very fine, as Noctowl now avoids Lantern, and it's kind of unlikely they have another hard Noctowl answer in the back. Because like Lantern lead plus like a Registeel, or it could be Frostlass, I guess, but if it's Frostlass, that's fine, as Frostlass doesn't really take a Shadow Ball that well. Out comes Medicham. And it's the classic Medi Licky core that Noctowl is just supposed to break. This is great. My Noctowl's higher attack, so it will win CMP versus Medicham. I throw a Shadow Ball on CMP here. Throwing on CMP guarantees I get the maximum amount of wing attack damage in before I throw a Shadow Ball, which is the reason why it knocked out. Out comes a Lickitung now, and even with half HP, I should be looking good here. I can throw at least 2 Sky attacks into this Lickitung before I get knocked out by Body Slams. And I have a Hydro loaded on the Swampert, so we are looking good here. I think, at least. I'm going to take another Body Slam here. Throw my Sky Attack into the Lickitung. And now, I believe I should just switch out to the Swampert and just throw the Hydro to finish off this game quickly. And that's what I do. We take out the Lickitung. And that was a nice game to end it with Noctowl just destroying that Medicham Lickitung core. GG's there. Now, final verdict on this team. I think it's pretty good, but it's definitely going to depend on what kind of meta you're playing in. If you're seeing a ton of Carbinks, probably not the best team to run, but if you see a lot of Medicham Lickitung, yeah, Noctowl has a ton of play for sure, and I would recommend it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Good luck with your battles, trainers.